Good time of day to all of you, my chess friends. This is Grandmaster Alex Yermolinsky, just fresh off watching that exciting Blitz tournament. And what a grand time it is, for chess. Chess round the clock. Really. Just from one event to another. From US Championship to Norway. Norway chess. Good time of day to all of you, my chess friends. This is Grandmaster Alex Yermolinsky, just fresh off watching that. Yeah, sorry about that. And then the Blitz, just one thing after another. The only thing that kind of let us down was the Chinese championship. Well, it is actually, not even underway, it's about to be concluded. But somehow, for whatever reason, it did not gather all the best players. No, Li Chao obviously is playing in Norway, but others, Ding Liren, Yu Yangyi, all these guys, Wan Hao, Wan Yu, Bu, they didn't show up. So there is just Wei Yi. That's his show, and he started off well, and I think he's going to win the tournament last time I checked, but nonetheless, really not in the kind of event that we should be paying a whole lot of attention to. Unfortunately, I kind of hoped that I would be watching the Chinese championship when it's night here in the US. And then off to Norway chess and then to US championship. Well, it wasn't meant to be. Alright, maybe not chess round the clock, but we still get about 17, 18 hours of chess. Now, grand times. Alright, so first I want to start with the US Championship. So, congratulations to new champions. Well, and I mean new champions. Nazi Paikidze wins the women's event. That was only her second time participating in US Championships. She did well last year, but this tournament was really her star tournament. Although I have to mention that Tatev Abrahamian also played a fantastic tournament, and she was very close to winning it. But the last round, I guess her nerves gave way, and she chose the wrong opening against the young player Ashrita Esrawan, and ended up in a bad position and lost the game. But in the meantime, Tatev was leading the tournament going to the last round. In the meantime, this is the battle between Irina Krush and Nazi Paikidze. Last round game. Irina, of course, 7-time champion. She was going for all-time record with 8 wins. But somehow in this tournament, didn't go well for her. She had a rough time, or she had some difficult positions, some difficult endgames she saved. And against the young players like Carissa Ip and Jennifer Yu. And she was in trouble, big trouble against Alisa Melehina. And obviously, nobody expected Irina to finish 6th in this tournament. And I think it's just a temporary setback. Irina is still the star of our chess. And let's disregard this result. I think Irina should still be leading the team at Chess Olympiad. But now the team looks much, much stronger. Really looks very, very good. Very good. Now we got now Tatev, who elevated her game to new level, and now we have the new champion Nazi Paikidze. Great options. And fifth board, Katarina Nemtsova. She actually played a solid tournament. She was never in contention for the very top places, but she generally played well. So I want to show you this most important fragment of the tournament. So this is the last round game, and Irina is white, and Irina, true to his style, always goes forward. She thinks, rightfully so, that she owns women's chess in this country. And regardless of her tournament situation, she was going for it. And she got the bishop pair now out of the quiet Reti setup, and then she goes f4. Now, at this moment, the situation at the other board already started taking shape in very much not in favor of Tatev Abrahamian. So she already was in defensive, very bad situation. So Nazi over here, looks to seize her sudden chance. If she wins this game, then she wins the tournament. But still, to come up with what she came up with. b5. It's such a fantastic move, you know. Just think about this, guys. I mean, black just gives up a pawn on a5. And without having any direct access to the white king yet. But there are some great ideas behind this move to misplace white's pieces, to set up a tactical situation. And it's just a great decision. Well, hang on a second. I need to find this. I have so many of them open. Okay, this one. Here, just b5. I mean, truly amazing. And then, well, bishop takes and now the queen goes to c8. Alright, so, do I have any questions yet? You know, like, I feel it's a little bit quiet over there. Let me refresh my browser and see if I got any. Okay, instead it threw me in the commercial. No, I don't want commercial. Let's skip it. Alright, guys. Hey, gather around, you know. I need questions. I need participation. Alright, so after queen c8, white took. And pulled the knight back. Seemingly not much is happening yet. But watch this. Opening up the e-file. e4 is safely protected. By the bishop and by the knight. But, well, there's certain lack of coordination in white's camp. And it's underlined by this great move, knight d5. It's just fantastic. I mean, just to be able to get the knight through to e3 in this situation. Well, Nazi figured it was worth the pawn. Well, I mean, I would rather show you how it developed, because, no, there are many variations here, but we got a lot of ground to cover today. Now, energy. Energy is the name of the game. g5. Undermining the pawn on e5, and the black pieces will threaten to flood in. Irina takes, and after knight takes e5, she had an interesting dilemma here. She could do a lot of things, actually, in this position. She possibly could have sacrificed the exchange, because now the black king is not safe. Now, look at this. She became attracted to this move, rook f2. That seems a clever solution to the problem, to transfer the rook to the e-file and, well, nullify that pressure and, well, hit both knights, actually. The knights are there in the center, but they're not supported. And here Nazi could have decided the outcome of the game. There would be just a move like to crown her play. The shot was knight d3, but it's just so difficult to do. I was watching a show with Ivan Sokolov and I believe Eric Hansen was I think it was Simon Williams. Excellent show it was. And Ivan Sokolov, experienced grandmaster, he said it's always difficult to give up piece with check. And indeed, you know, after this check, then black king goes to h7. It's almost like one move away from mate, but you just can't quite make it there. And the finish. In this position, I assume, would be as follows. Rook takes a5, rook takes and queen d8. Okay, now look at all these pieces. The rook is loose, the bishop is loose, but the strongest threat is actually to grab the pawn on g5, followed by checkmate. Yeah, this would win the game on the spot, but nonetheless, even after the move knight e3 that Nazi played, black is better, and she played very consistently. She eliminates the bishop, the only defender to the king, and just rams that f pawn, you know, down the white's throat. This was great. Well, not a happy decision to leave that bishop out of play, but otherwise it was impossible to deal with the pin. Well, the critical moment, another critical moment of this game was right here, well, White is under serious pressure, and I'm sure Irina was unhappy, because when you don't have a good tournament and you feel like, oh boy, here I go again, a bad position again. And she did play this, which is okay, but after rook e8, she probably had to be consistent kind of and play this move queen g4. White obviously doesn't have any winning chances to speak of, because the bishop on a5 is out of play. And if need be, black can probably take it and force some kind of drawish rook endgame. But anyway, queen g4 was the only way to go. She didn't do this. She played bishop c7, hoping to get this bishop back. But after this shot, things really started falling apart, because that's the queen. Now, to the rest of the game, I think we can safely skip the rest of the game. You can find it in databases here on the Internet Chess Club or anywhere else. Maybe Nazi did not play all the best moves, but she was always in control, and finally she brought the point home, and there it is, together with that, her first, and who knows, maybe not the last US championship title. Great addition to the US team, she is. And things are, looking up again. There were times when we felt, that we needed fresh blood, we got some help already. And I hope, I haven't mentioned Anna Zatonsky. She didn't have her best tournament, but she played steadily and finished third in the tournament. Although she did have a couple of strange blunders, including losing the queen to Tatev Abrahamian in their game. But one excuse for Anna is that she had addition to her family. She has a new baby, and she came to the tournament with her entire family, her husband and 2 children. And it was a little difficult for her to focus and play her best chess. Now, if you were wondering how come only White loses the queen, there was this check, so winning the queen. Anyway, so Anna is still a strong player, and I'm not sure. It's not up to me to decide. It's up to the coaches and the, I don't know, St. Louis chess club people to decide the board order. But Anna is going to be a steady force over there. But the new players, we have Tatev now. She's not new, obviously. She played many Olympiads, but I think she improved her game. And importantly, we have now Nemtsova and, of course, the new champion, Nazi Paikidze. Young players, they made their mark in this tournament. I mentioned them. Agata Bykovtsev, Jennifer Yu, Carissa Ip, Ashrita Esravan. They're improving too. And, they... In time, I hope, they will make the team. Hello! Yeah, so this is my take on the US Women's Championship. I think there was a sort of changing of the guard, and a good step forward. I'm looking for good things to happen in the Chess Olympiad, which of course is scheduled for September this year. Now, to the men's tournament. Congratulations to a new champion, Fabiano Caruana. So he came back, our prodigal son, right? Born in Florida, raised in Brooklyn, learned to play chess at the Marshall's Chess Club, cut his teeth over there in those weekend tournaments, then moved to Europe. And of course we know the rest. A great player, and finally coming home to the United States. Now, there is some talk, and I catch it sometimes on international chess websites, about the US buying players. I don't really think, it's not even important if it's true or not, Obviously, guys like Wesley So and Fabiano Caruana, they deserve to get paid, right? I mean, they're great players. They're both in top 10. And, they won a lot of tournaments, particularly Caruana, and they contenders for World Championship. Obviously, they have to be supported. But I would say that it's not really that obvious to me that They were just the guys, who simply went for big bucks. I mean, I said already that, Fabiano is an American kid, right? Well, listen to him to speak English, you hear Brooklyn in his speech, just great. I mean, so he came home. As for Wesley, the difficult family situation, and Wesley is, he's his own man, and I don't think really, that he came for big money. I mean, he could have represented the Philippines, and played in all these tournaments he played already. He just found himself a new home. He's a young man, and he has a whole life ahead of him. So he's not some kind of a cynical, ruthless, pro who just goes for big bucks. So I want to hear your take on this. And while I continue along this line a little bit, a lot of these guys, I know Russian websites, chess websites I follow, they look at the pictures of players and they say, hey, yeah, Nakamura, Japanese, Robson, whatever, and they say, there are no American players there. No, little they know about America. America is obviously, not the way it was, in the Brady Bunch, in the Beaver Cleaver times. For good or bad, it's a reality. And you could probably look anywhere else. You could look at some kids, in a math Olympiad or spelling bee contest, and you will see kids of various, backgrounds, ethnic and racial, whatnot, So, chess only represents it this way. I remember the days when I was playing, and they always said, the only Russians, Soviets playing for the US team. There was kind of half and half in my time. Of 6 players, usually, maybe 3 would be of the former Soviet extraction, but there were guys, come on, you had Sarah, Van Christensen, Benjamin, De Fermian, all this. But okay, at least then you could say these guys, most of them, just like I did, they came to the US and already as adults, and established players. Wesley will find himself, I believe, Look, I know a little bit about his private life. I'm just in no position really to talk about this. He is a deeply religious man, and it's not easy to do in today's world. We know how it is, but he's his own person. It's very important, and he's very young, and his decision to drop out of Webster, I know he took a lot of criticism for this, and obviously I understand the position of Susan Polgar, on this. But people, just like Karyakin with Norway chess, right? They make decisions that I think they're right in this situation, and you can't keep everybody happy. What life is essentially is just making enemies, right? Every step you take, somebody is going to be unhappy with that. Most of chess players can look back and say, my parents really didn't want me to become a chess player. Okay, so those who wanted to be nice to their chess players, to their parents, they didn't become chess players. I myself, and I'm sure many others, put the foot down and say, hey, that's my life. Okay, that wasn't nice. You hurt your mom and dad. So therefore, I try to look at this in a positive way. So there is a lot of young blood, in American chess now. The team is going to be very young. It's funny, that 20 years ago our team was the oldest. We've done very well. We won gold, silver, bronze, all this. We competed in every tournament in mid-1990s. And that was without Gada Kamsky, who was busy playing for World Championship. So the guys I mentioned, they were over in the late 30s or early 40s. But now the US team is super strong, and it's young too. So I hope that things will work out. And now, the best game, in my opinion, of Fabiano Caruana in that tournament, his white against Alexander Anisyuk. Alexander is no longer a full-time professional chess player. He and his family, he has a wife and 3 kids. cute twin boys, by the way, the youngest ones, but they're a handful. I visited him in his new digs in the great state of Texas. Yeah, Lubbock, Texas. He's working as a coach of a very successful chess program at Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a great school, and great facilities over there, and well, they support the chess program. And the surprising twist, Texas Tech actually won the last Pan Am event ahead of much higher rated team from Webster, obviously, headed by Susan Polgar, and also ahead of Texas, University of Texas at Dallas and Baltimore. No, Gata retiring, I don't know. Well, Gata gave an interview that a lot of frustration kind of was sounded out. But I mean, seriously, I think Gata is going to continue to play. I'm not sure he can rely on chess playing alone these days. He's probably going to do a little bit of, what I do now. No, obviously, he doesn't have to do it full time. But I mean, I would like to see Gata doing more coaching, more teaching, and participating more actively in the online chess work. I think he can do this, he has wealth of experience, great understanding of the game. And he needs to diversify a little bit his activities. And not just play chess. It's just simply impossible. He's 42 years old this year. And traveling from Chicago Open to the World Open and then the US Open and back. Or USMBC? UMBC, pardon me. Yeah, University of Maryland, Baltimore County. No, well, they always had a good chess program, They've fallen a little bit behind. I don't know if the things there are with funding, problems. And the main thing there, they need to hire a good coach. Now, this is a big boost because, I'm not saying it's necessarily chess strength, but an experienced player with connections, a person who knows international chess, because truth to tell, you have to recruit young players internationally. So if for example, if they hire Kamsky, I think they would be a great boon for their program. Well, I don't know if Gata's ready for that, but it wouldn't be a bad idea. I think both will benefit greatly from this. I mean, Gata's name, when Gata Kamsky contacts you and says, okay, you're 17 years old and you're 2,500, and you wanna come to the United States and study, get a degree, and play chess in the meantime. I mean, who's gonna say no to Gata Kamsky? Nobody. So that would be the way to improve the program. Ambitious plan, thank you. All right, so now Solanyshuk was not well prepared for tournament. He simply doesn't have the time. Before the tournament, he said, hey, I'm playing for 4th place, conceding the top 3 players, of course, to Caruana, Nakamura, and so. No, it didn't quite work out that way, because Ray Robson had a good tournament. Solanyshuk had to satisfy himself with 5th place, but I think he's happy. It actually gives him a right to play on the Olympic team. Well, entirely possible that the top 5 finishers at this championship are going to represent the United States in Baku at the Chess Olympiad. But this was a tough game for Alexander. So he relied on his old stuff. He played this almost 20 years. He plays this. And, more popular in modern chess is to throw in b5 first and then play bishop c5. It makes some difference there, as you're about to see. But then white plays a4, and black just has to react to this threat, has to play move rook b8. It's what Solanyshuk doesn't like, this line. It's very well theoretically developed, and obviously Caruana is all booked up. So he counted maybe a bit an element of surprise. So point is that after c3 he goes over there, and if white pulls the bishop back, then black plays d6, and after a4 there is no need to surrender the a file. The theoretical move which Solanyshuk not only played, maybe he came up with this whole idea, together with his former compatriot in Ukraine, Vladimir Malanyuk, and the Kazakh grandmaster Vlad Kachev, popular person in the chess world, great guy, basically, great talker and all that, and great blitz player. So those three guys were maybe somewhat independently brought this line into existence. But there is bishop c2, and here we go to, well, it's Kramnik-Leko World Championship match in Brissago, Switzerland. That was more than 12 years ago. Was it 2004? Now black plays sort of a Marshall kind of thing. And they go d5, but then there are problems, So this, well, later in the tournament, Wesley So played the move d4 against Stanishuk. Interesting, Stanishuk did not quit after losing this game. So he came back with the same line, and then Wesley deviated, and honestly, Wesley didn't get anything going. So imagine if it was the other way around. If Wesley had things going against Stanishuk and Caruana didn't. That's the half-point difference. They both had white against Stanishuk. Maybe we would be crowning Wesley So as the new US champion. Well, they weren't involved in this race. But the move a4 is interesting, and now this was all played by Anand against Alexei Shirov, I believe. Yeah, and here came a novelty. At least for me, it's a novelty. Previously known was bishop takes e4, played by Anand against Shirov. Anand won that game, but it's not clear if he had much of an advantage in that game. Anishuk probably was prepared to face bishop takes e4, but Fabiano, he's such a hard worker, think about it. The guy goes there to play this candidates tournament, arguably plays the best tournament of all 8 participants. And only in the last round he finds himself even by score with the eventual winner Karyakin, and is playing him and has black pieces, but he has to win because of tie breaks. I mean, this archaic, silly thing, there. Well, they had to have some sort of playoff thing, for you're talking about world championship match. I mean, probably the best idea if you want to use any kind of tie-break system without any additional playoff games. I always thought, that the most important thing is to make it unpredictable. How about, I don't know, just organizing committee, the arbiter, whoever, they make a decision. We're going to go by number of wins, A. We're going to go by the Sonnenberg burger, B. We're going to go by whatever, there are different systems. Importantly, you don't announce which one is going to be used. And you make your decision and you seal it in the envelope. And then the players don't know. Well, they cannot really build their tournament strategy on something that they don't know for sure. They won't be able to tell. Karyakin was ahead. Why? Because of number of wins. But I'm not sure if it was ahead on the Sonnenberg burger. Maybe not, because he lost to Anand. Anyway, I think that would be great, That's the only way you can use this. But if you announce it and players know, and that becomes part of their tournament strategy. Now, I would like to hear your opinion on that. How do you like my idea of bringing some element of unpredictability into those tie breaks? Or if not, you can go the old way, the new old way, like they do it in all this World Cup things. It's rapid, blitz, Armageddon. Well, only one guy is left standing. Yeah, Fabiano found himself in a tough spot in that last round, of course, and he played a courageous game, really great effort he gave. At the last moment, it wasn't enough, and then he blundered into a pretty tactic. Credit goes to Karyakin for finding it. It's never easy to give up a whole rook when you're playing for World Championship match qualification. So Fabiano comes home. Very little time passes. Karyakin decides to rest and recuperate, and drops out of Norway tournament. It takes a lot of criticism for that. I mean, other participants, Anish Giri, you're watching this Norway chess. He's unrecognizable. Now, Aronian and Topalov, they took half the tournament in Norway, 5 rounds, just to make draws, just to recover. And now, of course, Aronian is doing fantastic. He won two games and a brilliant win today over Magnus Carlsen. And, it's just so tight now and going into the last round. And I'm happy that I'm going to be doing the last round tomorrow here on the Internet Chess Club. So, guys, make sure you wake up on time, 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern, 7 Pacific. Whatever, like 9 o'clock, in Chicago and 8 o'clock in the morning in Denver, Colorado. Make sure that you up, watch this, because I'm going to be broadcasting and, the tournament is on the line for Magnus Carlsen. But anyway, so I just want to give additional credit to Fabiano Caruana for just how quickly he recovers, how tough he is mentally. After such huge disappointment and losing a chance to play a World Championship match, he comes back and 2 weeks later, he's playing his best chess at the US Championship. Great novelty. Now after this, there wasn't really much to be gained by Bishop h3. Well, problem with Bishop h3 is, it looks good, but how do you bring your queen over to key squares? White is aiming to play d4, which incidentally will take away the g5 square. So don't act like you can move the knight away anywhere and then you mate him. No, you don't. Yeah, it would be nice to play this move. Looks fantastic, right? You attack in f2, you threaten in mate, then comes cold shower. Well, this position is lost for black because he has to trade off all his attacking pieces and basically white is still threatening to play d4. Yeah, so this would not have worked. So Anishuk went back and now great move. Absolutely fantastic move to bring the rook to a5. How can you come up with such a concept, when you have undeveloped pieces and open king? I mean, this is really a great idea. And now he goes f4, undermining it, opening up his king even more. But the name of the game is to play d4 and shut that bishop out of play. And then the white rook can actually swing over on the 5th rank. Black never has the time to take on c6. Anishuk played this, the most logical move, d4 nonetheless. Excellent, excellent play. Well, I don't know how much of that was preparation. But the thing is that these days, guys like Caruana, he plays all the time. Oh, it would run into conspiracy theories. Transparency is best with tiebreak system stings, like in London. London candidates. Yeah, true. No, yeah, you can always suspect in such situations. There's too much at stake, and although, like if you lawyer up, in this case, those things, they can be sealed, they can be, I don't know, put in the safe deposit box, like, I don't know, things, financial documents are kept secret very, very often until a certain time, and sensitive political, whatever, security and national security things. No, I don't know. I don't want to really give more ammo to this seemingly endless talk about, all these games are fixed, or everything is like whatever, and Putin or Obama decides who's going to play the next World Championship match. I mean, it's kind of jaded, to even talk in these terms. All right, like, I mean, we have to believe in something, right? I mean, I don't know, we have to believe when we turn on the TV and watch whatever we like, soccer or baseball, snooker, doesn't matter. We would like to believe that this is honest sporting competition. Yeah, there are cheats, they've always been there, and then there's different ways, and in chess, cheating is really it's just murder of the game, right? Because when the player is not really playing himself, but using computer assistance, it gives such unfair advantage that I don't know what the next Lance Armstrong is going to pump himself with to be able to get such an edge over others. But nonetheless, having said that, I gotta say that I would like, to believe that what we're watching is not scripted and not whatever, it's the real deal. No, I don't know, maybe wishful thinking. So anyway, after this move d4, now white's clearly better. White just ahead. Queen takes c6. Oh no. Oops. Well, the pawn leaves. Alright, so Anishchuk played that, and I guess he could never recover in this game, This is the most straightforward win of Caruana. And, well, I was saying before I got distracted that, okay, was it prep or was it over-the-board inspiration? I would say this, as much as Caruana plays and the amount of information he has to go through, alright, maybe he had a lucky guess, right? Maybe he looked at that stuff, before. The line is rather obscure. Anishchuk can play different things. It's not the only thing that he plays. Maybe a lucky guess, if it was a prep. But prep is part of chess game now. You can't really, criticize people for, their steady work and preparation. It just contributes to great chest of chess knowledge, and that should be welcome, I think. Well, yeah, so regardless, that I think still it's a great game. Those rooks, right? They're ahead of minor pieces. But somehow black can never take advantage of the e-file, mainly for the reason of bishop e3. He tried though. Attack the pawn. Looks like the white rook is kind of stuck over there, but everything works out. Just everything does. But pay attention to the next move. Black is making some noise over there, so he's trying for some stuff like bishop c5. So he's making threats. And this is the great answer. Solving the problem of the king, removing the white square bishop from the board. Now possible because the black knight inadvertently blocked this diagonal. With the departure of the f3 bishop from the board, the white king is forever going to be safe. And that's a huge step forward. Fantastic play. Now Anishchuk must counterattack. He has no other hope in this position because his rook was passive. And now, great calculation by Fabiano. Now, well, here I guess we can all agree that white will win the game one way or another. It's extra pawn and better position. And probably two extra pawns. So, Alex had nothing else to do but go for this. And there comes Fabiano's idea. This is just straight out of some problem, right? When they do this interference and the back rank, It's just really a beautiful move. What do you say, guys? I know, well, it's not that difficult to find, but everything kind of came together for white and the prep and this and that. But nonetheless, what a finish with this move, rook e5. Now, if black tries to solve the back rank problem by playing f5, then white simply trades, and there comes kaboom, and the pawn queens. Just can't get behind it. Double pawns. So, basically, rook e5 is the end of the game. Well, Anishchuk could have resigned here. He played a couple of moves, but no, well, here it's enough. Brilliant victory, and congratulations to our new champion, Fabiano Caruana. Well, it's not only based on this result. I believe that Fabiano won the right to lead the US team in the upcoming Chess Olympiad. Well, not to take much away from Nakamura, Hikaru is still hanging in there, but three recent events. First of all, their St. Louis Challenge back in November, I believe, last year, when they played Rapid and Blitz games, which is totally like Hikaru's territory. But Noel Fabiano won, and I believe he won every stage except for Fischer Random, which I think they had a tie, or maybe Hikaru won it. Now, well, he was well prepared and determined to play well, so he was determined to not to concede the top position in the American chess to Nakamura. He came to the United States to fight for US #1. And then, obviously, I talk about the candidates where Hikaru had got off a bad start, his preparation was off, he was guessing wrong, and he was sitting -2. Great effort end of the tournament to get back 50%. This is what Hikaru is great with. He just never quits. But you can't really compare how these two played in the candidates when Caruana almost won it and Hikaru barely got to 50%. So another point goes for Caruana. And now this championship and convincing win for Fabiana in their head-to-head game. I guess all questions have been removed. I know they're gonna play together one more time before the Olympiad. That would be a Sinkfield Cup, which is scheduled for August. But I believe that would be better for the team success and for their chemistry if the decision is made before Sinkfield Cup, because it's just too close to it. I think that players would benefit if they know the lineup boards-wise, and it will help them to prepare, because there will be preciously little time between the end of the Sinkfield Cup and the beginning of the Olympiad. And the last thing you want, is some kind of last-minute bad blood. Suppose, Fabiana has a bad tournament and Hikaru wins the Sinkfield Cup with +5 score. No, we don't want that. All right, done with the US Championship, and let me move on. We need to talk a little bit about Norway chess. And I have a strange choice of game to show you, right? What is this? This is Elyanov versus Grandelius. The last two players now in the standings. Well, the reasons are as follows. First of all, there is daily broadcast, and most attention obviously always for Magnus Carlsen game. And like today's game, I'm sure most people saw it. And I don't know who was in charge of broadcast today, but whoever he was, most likely chose that game to be game of the day. So that is already there, most likely, and then, or is being produced or whatnot. So I just don't want to double up on somebody's efforts, I would rather bring something of my own. Secondly, it's interesting how, to me it's always interesting how players who sort of ended up in a tournament like this accidentally or semi-accidentally, how they react to the situation. I mean, one thing, was Niels Grandelius. Now, he was probably ecstatic to be invited in a 4-player qualifier for this tournament, right? I mean, Jan Valvik Hammer, of course, like Norway's #2 personal friend and second of Magnus Carlsen. Well, Hu Yufan, the strongest female player, world champion. Yeah, Joe Benjamin, of course. I'm planning to watch this, by the way. When I'm done with this, I'm not gonna miss this, for the world. So if it's up there, certainly, that's on my to-do list tonight. Anyway, so Niels was probably happy just to be invited on that 4-player qualifier. Yeah, he's sort of like from neighboring country of Sweden, and I'm just amazed, right? I mean, Sweden, Norway, didn't gain their independence until what? Year 1910 or something? I don't know, maybe off, but by a year or two, but around that time. It's just like Norway was colony of Sweden, I mean, Sweden raped Norway. Why is nobody saying this? Why these guys are friends? I never heard of any bad blood between Norway and Sweden. Maybe there was. Maybe time heals all wounds. We'll see in cases of whatever, Russia, Ukraine, or I don't know, some African neighboring countries or whatnot, or maybe, you know, inside the United States of America. But unfortunately, the bad blood is getting worse. Huh. I think we should all take an example, you know, from the history of Norway and Sweden and that department. Anyway, so Swedish guy gets to play there and he beats the homeboy Hammer, and now Grandelius is in the tournament. Now, tough. First time around, John Ludwig played. He was dead last. That was the second edition, I believe, of Norway chess, and Karyakin won then. Last year, obviously, he made a splash. No, bad blunder to Topalov, helping Topalov to win the tournament. But then, win over Magnus Carlsen himself. Granted, you know, Magnus had a terrible tournament, worst tournament of his career, but nonetheless, Hammer played much better. So even a little bit of experience helps. Now, with Grandelius, he's just a raw player, basically. He has talent, no doubt about it, and I like watching his games, and he played extremely well in that qualifier. Won it, by the way, by a big margin. But he just needs a bit of seasoning here, and this is an example. Now, Elyanov. With Elyanov, I'd say this, you know, so he played great in World Cup. No, he eliminated... Who did he eliminate? He eliminated Grishuk, that's for starters. He eliminated Nakamura. He almost beat Karyakin. He could have been in the finals and in the candidates. No, I mean, Karyakin dodged so many bullets, obviously. Who's the US Olympic coach? My thoughts. Okay, I just got an email from USCF. I'm probably one of, I don't know how long the list of people, well, asking me if I want to apply for the job. Okay, so nobody knows. They're going to process applications. I'm not even telling you if I'm going to apply or not. Both positions, US men's and US women's. Ultimately, I think the players will be asked, and also it's going to be the decision of the sponsors. No idea. Can't tell. Okay, so returning to Elyanov. So he played great, but somehow I think... I don't know. I think Pavel, you know, being a good player, well, no doubt about it. I don't think he really changed a whole lot in his game. And he plays well, but certain things there, I think that they're just gonna preclude him from really, you know, like just settling down as a 27-70 and 27-80 player, you know. I don't think it's just good enough for this. And, no, all due respect, you know, no, everybody has their ceiling, you know, and I believe that what Elyanov is now is really his ceiling. I cannot say this about another newcomer, Pentava Hare Krishna. I think Pentava's ceiling is unknown, at least it's unknown to me. I think he can improve, and significantly so. For Elyanov, alright, so he shows up at this tournament, so what's his game plan? Alright, so he obviously enjoys it there, you know, so... No, he's not a youngster anymore, he's in his 30s. And, well, it's a good thing to remember, good thing on your resume. I played in Norway, or whatever, or prepare a book of your favorite games. Now, I don't think he really thought, you know, that he could compete for top places. No, it's just very unlikely. As far as a special preparation for this tournament, I don't think he did so much. I think he was better prepared for the World Cup, because the World Cup is more of a chancy thing, and he took his chances, well, and almost all the way to the finals and the candidates qualification. Had he qualified for the candidates, I think he would have prepared much harder than he prepared for this one. This, obviously, he wanted to do is a little better than he's doing now. He actually lost a couple of games, and now he's in a... what's his position now? Okay, I brought this up. Okay, we got Magnus and Levon and okay, Kramnik, Topalov, MVL. Yeah, Pavel 3 points, second to last. All right. Yeah, that's the last couple of games he lost. No, anyway, so, but I want to give some credit, to the players for trying, So therefore, in this position, White played interesting against the Grunfeld. Somewhat unusual that bishop on b2. It actually generates tactics for both sides. I would expect black to be able to generate more tactics because this bishop is naturally defended by the king. But apparently it's not so simple, and with the knight he shields this pawn. White king is little open. Black clearly benefits from absence of light square bishops. Give white the bishop on a3, give black the bishop on d7, I would say white is better. Maybe by much. Here I'm not sure. Endgame was possible, but in the endgame the white king comes closer to the center. Maybe white's better. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Grandelius already did better, yeah. So maybe some random move, such as rook c4, just tension, just pressure, or possibly f5. h5, I meant to say. This is lack of experience. No, clearly, a guy like Elianov, he doesn't blunder pawns. No, he had something up his sleeve. And, well, it was shown instantly on the very next move. Tactical shot. Fairly simple nature, right? The bishop wants to take. By the way, no choice. You must take. And now bishop takes. Opening up on the queen. Oi, oi. Ay, ay, ay. Well, you must move the queen to protect the pawn on e7. There is no choice. And now white took. And here's the situation. Yeah, Ulyanov could have taken that pawn on f5. But I don't think that was strong enough, because here in this situation he just protects this whole thing. Not by queen d6. You go queen d6, you're gonna be worse. He'll take the pawn on b7. Alright, guys, any chess players here still sharp after watching all this stuff? Show me tactic here. Black to move. What? No takers on the tactic? It's a two-mover, guys. And that's the line that Ulyanov saw, and he went different way. Possibly Grandelius is crazy enough to invite this knight f5 thing. Maybe he thought this far and saw the shot I'm talking about. Alright. Did I give you enough time? Somebody say I'm working on it. Your brain's gone. Too much chess. Alright. The two-mover, right? Check. And then takes the rook on d5. White will be reduced to fishing for some perpetuals and suspect queen endgame. Alright, so Ulyanov goes forward. Now the situation is not easy. Well, white can combine his d pawn going forward with the attack on the king. Now, pawns on a7, b7, it's nice, kind of insurance. And it helps. Some endgames, but how to get to the endgame. I thought of this move, right? To play queen e4. And I realized that Ulyanov would have sidestepped this thing with this nice move. And now he's ready to throw his queen, just like happened in the game. Throw it forward when time is right. Okay, there was a little bit of difference here. Rook d8. Actually, still, like this line. I want to go back to this line. Forget rook d8. Let's try this. Let's try that. I mean, I'm not sure if white's going to take. I don't think so. No, he can't. He has to play this move. And how about h6? How strong is white's attack here? Come to think of. d6 he goes, of course. Thinks of taking on d6 with the rook and then mating. Perhaps black can defend. Takes. Rook there, rook there. You need presence of mind. This is where experience counts. I don't think Niels was that low on time, but somehow his game, and there was a few examples in this tournament when toward the time control his game became more herky-jerky, like he was expecting opponents to make mistakes. It's probably sort of leftover thinking from playing a lot of opens. That's what you do. You just sharpen things up toward the time control and watch your opponents just disintegrate. No, indeed, otherwise how do you beat 2,400 guys? And he has done that because his rating is in a solid, 2650 or whatever. But somehow the strategy is not very reliable against these guys, right? Yeah, black seems safe on this line. But he went wrong way, and now queen b4. King there. It's very similar. And he took. Bad move. Bad move. Defensive move would be rook d7. Just sit there and wait for the chance to recapture back on e7. Just hang in there. Now the white queen is tied down to the rook on d2. It's not going to be easy for white to deal with this problem. There aren't that many pieces left on the board. Okay, meow, 5, 4, 3, 7. Yeah, you found it. All right. Congratulations. If I could, I would send you a bag of cat food of highest quality to award you for your effort. I'm sure you have cats. Otherwise, why the handle? Okay. Bad move. E takes. Now Ulyanov plays his star move. The tactics here are very interesting, and I was actually fascinated with these tactics, but it took me a while to figure it out. I mean, if you take, then white wins. He's got this checks over there. He just got the... He's got all that, and then the capture. Black's only hope, really, is to find perpetual check, but you can't. Because of queen e7. There is a check over there anywhere, but then you cannot return to e2. And this nice attempt comes short. Queen check, d7. Stopping that one and queening on the next move. Great calculation by Ulyanov. So he's obviously known for his positional play, but his understanding of the position led him to right direction too. And then, he's quite capable of calculating all this. The defensive move really was h6. Now look at the same line. It's not going to be the same. No, it's not going to be the same. It is not. Oh, what's the difference, you might say? The difference is the extra move, h6. How's it going to play out? Watch this. Threatening mate, right? On g4. You don't have queen g5. That's where the extra move h6 would have saved the game. Now white is better behave here and go back with the king. Because if he messes around one move too much, then after king g6, that's him who's going to get mated. Either on h5 or, if you prefer, from f2. Niels didn't have to lose this game. He could have saved this game. Oh well. He played the worst move possible here. He played rook d7, blundered into rook c2. That was it. Decisive attack. The rook infiltrates, and there's just no defense here. Now it's all white. Just queening the pawn. One way or another. Alright. Okay. So I know 1 hour has passed, but I would like to stick around. If you guys stick around. Tell me. Did you watch the Blitz today? I want to hear your opinion about the Blitz. I was not going to talk about the Blitz. This show was kind of scheduled, planned rather, for only to cover 2 events, actually, 3 events. 2 US championships and Norway a little bit. But I just can't really leave, this unmentioned. What a grand idea it was. What bravery from Garry Kasparov. And honestly, he shocked me how well he played. How well he played. This is beyond belief. Well, in his games, he played 9 games. I mentally go over what he did. So he had some people he totally demolished. Like the positions he had. Wesley So, he should have been 3-0 against Wesley So, right? The only player who gave him trouble was actually Nakamura. Garry had to defend the first game in the King's Indian, defend the 10 game. Then the other games, like that game he won a second time in the King's Indian, of course he was winning toward the end and had a terrible blunder and just on par, of his blunders against Wesley So. But truth to tell, Hikaru was winning, right? In that game where they had a Benoni structure, the third white game. But that was really the only game where Garry stood worse. It was just the only game, So, he goes out there and he plays his old openings. He didn't even venture into modern things, whatever, Berlin, so what not, No. He just plays his e4 and plays his Scotch, which he played, I don't know, when did he bring back the Scotch? In the mid-1990s? And he gained advantage in every game. Look how beautifully he defeated Nakamura when he had the white pieces. That game was clean as a whistle. There was really no blunders, no... Great game it was. It's really a shame, that Garry is not winning this tournament. It's not leading this tournament. Of course, they're going to play the same thing tomorrow. But I kind of have a bad feeling about this. I think the fatigue is going to accumulate. And I know it's easy to say that Garry is playing for fun. I don't think so. For him, to make this statement, it would be huge. So the guy is just for 10 years, 11 years away from the game. And then he comes back. And then he comes back, after being inactive. And then he plays some of the best players in the world. All 3 top 10 guys. And beats the living daylights out of them. It's just amazing. Really, really amazing. Now, would he have done better if he had more time? I'm sure he would, but so would the opponents. I don't want anybody to read this if Kasparov comes back tomorrow and they play classical time control games, he would be best player in the world or the best after Magnus. No. These games, they don't give me a reason to believe so, because this is different as Blitz games. It's very well known that a truly great player, such as Kasparov is, one of the greatest who ever played the game, if not the greatest. But also Karpovs, the same thing, They retain their strength in rapid and blitz chess for much longer because it's easier for them to play. They play more intuitively and they don't have to prepare for every game. Well, it's not really finding the moves, that kills the older player. That's the surrounding thing over there. Just all this need, to spend hours and hours, sifting through this databases and guessing what you're going to play and worrying about preparation. Here, well, when you worry about preparation, people blunder pieces sometimes in this, Blitz. Easier to play Blitz, but now, what kind of Blitz? We know that Gary never played with the increment. He doesn't want to play with the increment. Perhaps he was wrong about this. Maybe, because I noticed, like the way the time management went, he would invest a lot of time in the opening and early middle game to outplay his opponents. And even Fabiana to the lesser extent, Nakamura to more to an extent, and Wesley just wanted to stay ahead on the clock. So they would play maybe superficially, and he would outplay them. So he's much better on the board, but maybe he's couple of minutes down on the clock. With the increment, he would be able to bridge this gap. Delay doesn't help him, because delay just allows him to execute properly. But there is no... he can't really bridge the gap on the clock. Because he, in a better position, he would start playing faster and gaining some seconds, while the opponents would be spending time. But he doesn't like the increment, and I think that was his mistake. That's the only improvement, I could say, that he could use. But maybe he can do without it, but I don't know. My prediction, he's not going to do as well tomorrow as he did today. Now, the standings there is Nakamura, it's very up and down. Caruana was leading Kasparov, then Caruana kind of fell off the cliff. It always happens like this in Blitz tournaments. Unless there is a big gap between players' strength, then it's just kind of going to bounce around like this. Even Magnus Carlsen, look at the last Blitz World Championship. He played very well. On the first day he played brilliant, had a big lead. Second day he played okay, maintained the lead. Third day, another 10 games. It was all around the 10, all around it was a 30-round tournament. He fell off the cliff, lost his first place, and didn't manage to do this triple, double, triple, I don't know, all the titles. Because he won the Rapid before that, and of course he's a world champion in Classical. So it kind of evened out, and now Nakamura and Wesley saw they're ahead. Wesley, I couldn't understand why people predicted that he's going to be dead last. He's not that much weaker, in chess simply than others. And his strategy here is to play very quickly. So, he got his share of bad positions, but not necessarily. He won a nice game against Caruana with the black pieces, real clean game. And somehow Wesley is my pick to win this tournament. Strangely, I go against the grain. I go against Nakamura. Well, Hikaru, obviously, great recovery once again. He was in last place after halfway, through today's session. And then he just said, no mas. And he won some long, tough end games. Well, if it goes this, any game that goes over 60 moves, it's probably Nakamura's game. But somehow, I don't know, I think Wesley So is going to win this tournament. How strong is Gary compared to modern chess players? Now, I cannot tell. This is Blitz. I cannot tell. Now, look, in order to become a tournament player again, the player has to sit there and prepare and play long tournaments. Now, that's when old folks, they usually come short. No, well, 2750, all right, if he puts his best effort forward, quits everything, look, Garis always has bigger fish to fry. He wanted to become president of Russia. Now, I guess, you know, he may get involved in American politics. You know, he's obviously a long-time Republican, and now, although he's not an American citizen, but I'm sure he has great interest in politics, and would be curious to see what he thinks about Trump. I think he hates Trump, and he would like the old ways of the 1980s. Gary's politics are rooted in the 1980s. Okay, anyway, we're not here to debate politics, but suppose, you know, he puts this thing on hold and says, okay, I'm just going to play for 2 years, and I'm going to give my best effort, you know, and become as best as I can. Yeah, I would say 2750 is quite realistic. I see absolutely no way, you know, like, to think that he would be worse than, for example, Topalov. For what reason? Topalov, now the difference between them, 12 years. Well, Gary seems in reasonable physical shape. Topalov will easily keep his 2750. He's doing this, by the way, in this tournament. Yeah, he had really no business being at 28-26. That was combination of good luck and tailwind, or whatever you call it. But he sort of came down to where he is. Anand, 2760 now. I mean, why can't Kasparov be 2760? If in this tournament, you know, like, but it also a lot, you know, depends on who he plays. If he gets into a tournament with the guys he knows, like Topalov, Kramnik, Anand, and Kasparov, 4-player tournament like this, I wouldn't be surprised if Gary was a favorite to win this tournament. He knows these guys. He knows them inside out. He beat them. Okay, he didn't quite beat up on Kramnik, but he beat up on Topalov and Anand. But if the tournament is the same 4 players as today, in classical chess, it's going to be much, much harder. And there are a lot of guys out there. There is Levon, there is MVL, there is Karyakin, and, well, I don't know, 2750 he would get. 2800 is very hard. These days the inflation seems to have stopped, and now 2800 is pretty much second or third position in the world. I'm not sure, you know, Gary can get to this. Blitz, no, I don't know what Blitz rating means. I don't, it means nothing to me. I don't understand the Blitz ratings. Well, they're very volatile, and there aren't enough events. I can say you can find a few players, you know, who could play in this tournament and have a chance no worse than any of these participants to win this. You want names? Magnus Carlsen, Levon Aronian, Maxim Vashev-Agraf, Sergei Karyakin, Alexander Grishuk, Yan Nepomнящий. He's the lowest rated of all of them, but he's a demon in Blitz. Or Dmitry Andreikin. Who else is a good Blitz player? No, Anish Giri, no chopped liver. You know, this is very random. I mean, I look at these Blitz ratings, and Magnus is ahead. Well, true, probably Magnus the best Blitz player in the world. Hikaru is the best online Blitz player, and maybe best bullet player, obviously, by far. But Blitz is a little different, and I would go with Magnus. And the rating indicates. I don't know what 2750 would mean if Carlsen is 2900 now. I checked today. I don't know what the others are. I don't know. This tournament is probably unrated for Blitz, which is a shame. They should rate this tournament. I don't know why it's unrated. Anyway, so this is my take on this. I don't really have much to show you, but I mean, no, well, we're going way too long, but okay. I mean, this game, right? I mean, that's the last game. I won it brilliantly. Okay, so I have to go back. I mean, he plays Fabiana. Yeah, Fabiana was in kind of a downhill spiral at that moment, but look, he just refuses to play any main lines, you know, just plays the Vienna there. This and some kind of King's Gambit delayed. No, this is fairly well known, but I mean, do you know why Fabiana got in trouble in this game? Bad move. I mean, it looks so logical, right? bishop e6 to oppose this bishop. But what this move doesn't do, it doesn't prevent white's plan. White's main plan, of course, is to go queen d2, castle long, attack on the f-file. That pin is very unpleasant, but you can turn the tables. The right move in this position, which has been played quite a few times, is bishop g4. You see the point of this move? Queen d2, bad, bad, bad. Now I take, and there it goes. Standard shot. So bishop g4 simply stops white from going queen d2. Now, so this is the thing, you know, like Kasparov, no, well, this is where the experience counts, you know, because there are certain things that you simply know more things. You may forget some long variations there, and in that case, obviously, young players are stronger. But your knowledge of opening ideas is much vaster, you know, than your opponents. So that's why you can play in Blitz and Rapid, you can surprise them in the opening like this, and they not necessarily going to react correctly. So maybe if Fabiano had this in a long game, he would have sat there and found bishop g4, and the idea, most importantly, the knight takes a4 idea. But in Blitz game, he played the logical move, and now maybe still bishop g4 is the best move. He does this, and now a great answer. White wants to take with the rook. Maybe now bishop g4, but I don't know. It's pointless to analyze this, of course, but hang on a second. I wanted to... is that this one? Yeah, Kasparov Caruana. Yeah, and then knight takes f3. You know, this move is near decisive mistake. Well, he still he had to play bishop g4. Now it's probably not so attractive to do this. Situation has changed. There is h3. I mean, there's terrible danger here to... I don't know if h3 is the best move. But there's terrible danger here to black's position. I mean, don't get too excited. Do you really want a pawn like this? I'm about to go queen d2 and castle long. This is going to be murder on the king's side. The difference between understanding and memory, that understanding is just patterns, right? So those things, it's kind of, they're just there. You know, no, it's not like Gary does not think about chess. I'm sure he does. I'm sure most of his time he spends, well, maybe looking at some chess games, you know, maybe old ones, reviewing some, or maybe watching some new stuff. And so his brain is sharp chess-wise, we can tell. And he just played all the openings under the sun, you know, over the years in his career. And he just, no, he's more likely when there is a non-forced, non-theoretical line, he's more likely to find the right way quicker than, say, Caruana or any other of these guys. Because, no, their task is different. They have to play, they have to have more narrow opening repertoire, and they have to play those variations that are studied and analyzed deeply, and they need a lot of factual knowledge over there. It's a different thing. So that's why... no, right, so in this position, clearly white is better. So, but this is still a big mistake. Now white has huge advantage, because now you move the bishop out, and then it's not on e7, and what to do with this f6 knight. Great move from Gary. Fantastic move. He just pushes this bishop out of the long diagonal. This he played. Over there, he could already win a piece. No, I'm not kidding you. This traps the bishop. Well, black gets some kind of a compensation, maybe a pawn, maybe he wins the e4 pawn, I don't know, but white's near winning already. But what he did was quite good. Now, king to e2, no matter. Every piece is working. Terrible threat like knight h5, so Fabiano had to go to the endgame. No, you would say he blundered the exchange here by taking with that rook. Maybe he did, but, well, this is no picnic. I mean, white picks and chooses, you know, c7 pawn, knight e7 check, and then taking f7. Big advantage for white. Now, after this, it's basically end of story, and, well, you know, I'm not going to be overly critical. I'm not even going to show you the rest of the game. Yeah, there was some maybe technical inaccuracies, but I think white was always better between better and winning. And luckily, you know, Gary was able to bring point home and had a very nice finish of that thing, because really blundering twice to Wesley so in winning positions. No, that was... It must have hurt him, of course, but no, well, tough guys, right? So Gary will come back, and I look forward to watching this thing tomorrow, you know. So now, well, I'm gonna have like beautiful, you know, sort of full slate. First a broadcast from last round in Norway, and then this Blitz thing will roll along. Fantastic. Well, chess is grand these days, you know, like best time to be a chess player, best time to be a chess commentator such as yours truly, best time to be just a fan and lover of the game. Guys, enjoy it. Enjoy it while it lasts. I hope it lasts. I hope it lasts. And thank you very much for staying with me. And I know that I would probably get more activity, but you guys, even if... I mean, you're probably simply tired, you know, but okay. Imagine how tired the players are. See you guys tomorrow. See you guys tomorrow right there, Internet Chess Club. Take care now. Goodbye.